And just bring this in. Here comes the fun. From the beginning. Okay. So I'll just repeat. I'm Michelle Greenwell, and I'm so glad that you're here for this webinar. Mental health means putting yourself first. This is our outreach to the public, and we're very happy to have the members here that are here today, plus those of you that will be watching from the YouTube channel. I'm the current leadership team president and coordinator for the webinar committee for CanBeWell, and I'm just thrilled with the way the webinar programs have been developing. You've got our poster here to see our beautiful presenters, Paula and Tanya, and I'm going to give their bios in a moment. First off, I just want to give you a little background about CanBeWell, the Canadian Association of Bioenergetic Wellness. Our vision is creating a world where the many bioenergetic wellness disciplines and modalities are recognized, valued, and utilized by people making choices to improve their quality of life. And our mission, as champions of personal choice in health and wellness, our members work together, encouraging ongoing professional development in the field of bioenergetic wellness, as well as to better provide services and education to the public. You can find us at canbewell.org. We have two newsletters, a public and a member. The public one comes out every 3 months, and the member newsletter comes out monthly. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, and YouTube. So there's lots of ways that you can find resources from us, but also be engaged with us. Our theme for 2021 is Wellness is Your Choice. And we hope that you will make a 2021 decision to have awesomeness as a design for what you're going to do, wellness being your choice. We have different projects coming up that I just wanted to mention, which are the webinars. We have a summit, which is in May. And then we have a bunch of information that's new to our newsletters that are going to add different techniques and information. So if you decide there's more that you want to know and you're not a member, there's a supporting membership that you can purchase, but there's also an introductory membership. And those are listed on our website. This presentation is brought to you by the Leadership Team Webinar Committee, of which Paula Nowak and Tanya Levy are both parts of the committee. And we're volunteers who are trying to make a difference globally. The presenter contacts. So here's Tanya's. She can be found on Facebook at Heart Lady Inspirations, and Paula Nowak can be found at learninginfinitepossibilities.com. And I will bring this up again at the end. So now I will stop share and I will bring you back to the presentation, and I'll introduce our two presenters. Tanya Levy is a counselor, an educator, a writer, a digital artist, as well as trained in therapeutic touch and touch for health. Having worked in the human services field for over 30 years, she is passionate about the unique healing journey we take and the strength we have to be self-empowered in that process. As an artist, Tanya's photographs on nature, especially cloud hearts, light, and whatever calls to be captured, converts to digital images. And you can see those just behind her head, up on the shelves, some of her creations. Her writing can be found in the series 365, which is created by Jody Chapman and Dan Tech. And as part of Tanya's commitment to bioenergetic wellness advocacy work, she's a member of the CanBeWell leadership team and the webinar committee. And Paula Nowak. Paula is a speaker, stress strategist, and body-mind facilitator. Paula's roots began in the field of wellness. Prior to becoming an educator, Paula worked in several fitness facilities and in the athletic departments of 3 Ontario colleges. And then she was an educator for 30 years, 15 years in the front of the classroom, and then 15 years as a school administrator. Due to the high demands at home, school, and work in the 21st century, stress affects us now more than ever, and Paula has returned to her roots of well-being, supporting people and fostering self-regulation, wellness, and well-being at home, school, and work. Just a little on her background, so you know her training in bioenergetic wellness. Paula is a Touch for Health instructor, brain gym instructor, yoga instructor, a well-being coach, and an Eden method facilitator. She's passionate about leading others to navigate stress and reclaim joy. And I can say that having been on the receiving end of her course for Reclaiming Joy, I love my joy class. So as part of Paula's commitment to bioenergetic wellness advocacy work, she also is a member of the CanBeWell leadership team and the webinar committee. So welcome both of you. I will make my way out of the vision and I look forward to hearing what you both have to say.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm really excited to be here tonight. So I'm just going to start off by sharing my screen. And come into a slideshow. So right now we are currently navigating a storm, a pandemic, racism, political unrest, and we're currently experiencing big waves, churning waters, whitecaps, undertows, big winds, and changing winds. I would just want you to think about what have been some of the challenges that you have personally been facing over the last 10 or 11 months. And how well are you navigating those stressors? So tonight, we're eager to share with you easy and empowering and accessible body-mind tools and techniques to ease our stress, activate calm, and to enhance our well-being. To start off, I think we just need to mute everyone, Michelle. And to start off, I invite you to come into present awareness. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And we're just going to come into awareness in this moment. And awareness is the foundation for well-being. So we're going to turn inwards for a few moments by resting on the breath. As we step into this present moment, what are you currently experiencing? Are you breathing with effort or ease? Are you breathing from the chest or the abdomen? Is your body tense or relaxed? And tuning into your energy. Are you feeling exhausted or well rested? And drawing awareness to your stress level. 1 being low stress and 10 being high, where would you be on the continuum right now? And observing the weather patterns of your mind. Is it turbulent or is it calm right now? And I invite you to place 1 hand on your chest and 1 hand on your abdomen, bringing awareness back into the breath, noticing the breath. When we're feeling stressed, it's easier to focus on the exhale, allowing your belly to soften and empty on the exhale. And noticing the flow of the breath in and out. Inhaling, allowing your abdomen to expand, and on the exhale, allowing it to release and let go. Continuing to focus on the breath, in and out. And I invite you to deepen your breath and come back into the space. A little bit of movement to your fingers, your hands, your toes. Dr. Dan Siegel suggests that for anything to regulate, it needs to monitor and modify. And to regulate our nervous system, to come back into balance and flow and well-being, it's all about monitoring and modifying. So it's mindfully being aware and mindfully choosing to take action. It's an intentional process of awareness and action. And the action may simply be the breath. So tonight, our focus is on cultivating our well-being and flowing with well-being. And it's really as simple as our ABCs and as complex as our ABCs. It's about awareness, balance, and connection. And awareness is that foundation for well-being. It's that regulation, it's being in flow, and it's that awareness of our mind and body. And balancing is about balancing our energy, our tension, our mindset. And we can do that by utilizing beautiful self-care tools from bioenergetic wellness or other self-care tools that we have. And then it's about coming back into connection with our mind and our body, coming back into connection with ourselves, coming back into connection with each other, connecting to our knowing. And setting that ABCs around our intention each day or in each encounter, and being in a place of safety and choice as we do so. And that is how we are setting our intention for tonight, is being in the well-being flow. So I'm going to pass it over to Tanya.
Thank you very much, Paula. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, what does self-care mean? And I think that one of the things that often happens is we think about self-care in the sense of a spa day, but we don't necessarily think about self-care in all the other ways that it supports us. So self-care can be, of course, what relaxes us, but I found sometimes in the last year what I really needed to figure out is what energized me or helped me build up my energy, what gave me a sense of fun or play. How was I celebrating the small steps I made in my daily life? What really nourished me, because I found during the pandemic, when I focused on my well-being, nourishment became so important, and it became the simple things, the drinking of the water, the going outside for 5 minutes, the looking at the moon in the evening. And what gives you rest? Rest isn't necessarily always sleep. Sometimes rest is quieting our minds, or taking a moment to breathe, or stepping away from our laptop and our typing to go upstairs and make ourselves a cup of our favorite tea. And I also think self-care is part of understanding, how do we manage transition, and how do we manage change, and what are those practices that help us do that? And so one of the things that I talk about often with my students, and I think is so important, is to have a daily self-care essential list. And I think that whenever there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's certainly been a lot of uncertainty this year in 2020 and going into 2021, it's those daily self-care practices that are so important. So one of those daily self-care practices could be a daily shower. It could be time outside. It could be hand lotion. It could be tea or coffee in your favorite cup. It could be connecting with your family or friends. For me, one of the things that I've done since March is try to do Tai Chi every morning, the first 17 moves, and do it outside as much as I can. And I can't say I did it every day, but I tried to bring that in. Eating a well-balanced lunch or a well-balanced meal in the day and making that a priority. And even centering before starting my day. Maybe, just as Paula said, having an awareness. How is my breathing? Doing a breathing check-in before I get out of bed. thinking about the day ahead and centering into myself and trusting that I can manage whatever comes. In grounding throughout my day and just feeling the earth underneath me and trusting that the earth supports me. And I'm not saying you need to have all these on your daily care essential list, and your list may look completely different. Your list may include chocolate. Your list may include a bath. Your list may include lighting a candle in the evening. You may be a writer and your list may include writing. But I think it's so important to check in with ourselves and remember, what are the 3 or 4 things that I need to do every day to support my self-care? Not the big things like a manicure or a pedicure or a 5-kilometer run, but what are those things that I know I'm taking care of myself when I do those every day? They're my essential list. And the 20-20-20 rule is really taking every 20 minutes, looking 20 feet away for 20 seconds to rest your eyes. And 20 seconds can sound like such a long time, but we're worth that 20 seconds every 20 minutes. And so I think that when we take that daily time each day to hold ourselves, we're part of our own support team. And this is one of my photos, and I just see it as holding our daily self-care, our daily practices. So just take a moment and think about what's on your daily self-care list. And now, over to Paula.
Thanks so much, Tanya.
I'm just going to stop share. Sorry, Paula.
I love the 20-20-20 rule. That's a beautiful one. I'm going to practice that one. Thank you. So let's explore a relaxation technique, and it's called the Cook's Hookup. So I invite you to cross one ankle over the other and to place your arms in front, thumbs down, crossing one hand over the other, bringing your fingers together, intertwining them, and then bringing your hands into your chest. If you find that this is uncomfortable with your hands, you can place your hands in a butterfly position. So just coming in. And for this relaxation technique, I invite you to focus on the breath. So with all of these techniques, the breath is our superpower. Focusing on the breath, perhaps focusing on an intention for your practice, and then doing the technique itself. So I invite you to focus on the breath. As I said earlier, if you're feeling stress, begin by focusing on the exhale. Just noticing the ebb and flow of the breath. And if it's comfortable, you can even place your tongue on the roof of your mouth. So we intentionally build our stress capacity by intentionally managing our energy, our tension, and our mindset. And we can manage our energy by balancing energy expenditure with energy rest, recovery, and renewal. Continuing to focus on the breath. And we can ease muscle tension and enhance our mindset with a variety of wellness practices and well-being practices and movement, mindful relaxation, focused attention. There's so many beautiful ways to connect the body and the mind into relaxing and calming and feeling good. So really working on relaxing our nervous system, not really working at it, just being. What we're going to do is uncross our arms and our legs, and we're going to cross our ankles the other way. Our arms are in front, thumbs up, thumbs down, crossing over, bringing your hands into your heart center. And you may decide it's easier to soften your gaze or close your eyes, continuing to allow your abdomen to expand on the inhale and to release and let go on the exhale. allowing the breath to come down and out, rooting you into Mother Earth, grounding you and centering you. So what I have found is that setting an intention each day, or setting an intention in my interactions or before I do an activity or experience, before my self-care practices, it supports my well-being and it supports my mental health. The great thing about setting an intention is it sets your inner direction, where you want to go, where you'd like your day to flow. I invite you to take your hands apart, uncross your ankles, have your hands a little distance apart, and very slowly bring your fingertips together. And then you can bring your thumb to your heart center or to your belly button or on your lap, whatever feels best. Following the ebb and flow of the breath. So when I set an intention, it really helps to focus my awareness. And if I'm having a stressful time, I find it's even more powerful to set an intention. And my intention may be, may my day flow with ease and grace, or may I flow with calm. May I experience calm in this interaction. It's very powerful to set an intention. It keeps us in awareness, and awareness helps us to strengthen our well-being. And what we practice strengthens. And then just taking your hands and placing them on your lap and taking a few moments just to notice. How are you feeling? What are you noticing in this moment with your breath and your tension? And I invite Tanya to come back on.
Thank you, Paula. So Paula mentioned noticing at the end of her last exercise, and that's one of the strategies I wanted to talk to you about this evening. And it's a strategy that I support students with when they're having a challenging thought, to notice and let go. But it's also a strategy I support students with when they're trying to make a behavior change. So for example, a student may come to me and say, I want to quit smoking. And I'll say, okay, for the next week, I just want you to notice when you smoke. And they'll say, no, you don't understand. I want to quit smoking. I need an action plan. And I'll say, but before you have an action plan, why don't you just humor me? And for the next week, just notice when you smoke. Just pay attention, become aware, and notice when you smoke. So usually they'll come back to me a week later and they'll say something to me like, do you know that before breakfast, I have 4 cigarettes? And I'll say, okay. Before breakfast, you have 4 cigarettes. And they'll go, but you don't understand. Before breakfast, I have 4 cigarettes. And I'll say, I hear you. Before breakfast, you have 4 cigarettes. Do you want to have 4 cigarettes before breakfast? No. I said, well, what might happen if you had 3 cigarettes before breakfast? I could try that. Inevitably, what happens is the more they become aware and notice, the behavior changes naturally because they notice that they're engaging in an activity that is not what they want, and they're more conscious and aware of it. And it's really important when we do noticing that we don't bring in our judgment or a critical voice. It's just, we're just an observer on our life. And I think that is so key, because it's the same thing with our thoughts and our mind. I have a saying, when you're going through hell, don't stop to wallpaper. And what I mean by that is we can have thoughts playing in our mind that are what I would call painful or negative. And it's the challenge to notice them and let them go. And I always say, when you're home and you just have the radio playing in the background, or you have the television playing in the background, I think negative thoughts sometimes can be like that. We can know they're there, but we don't have to stop and pay attention to them or stare at them or internalize them, where you can just go, oh, there's one of those negative thoughts again. I'm going to just notice it and let that go. So if just for a moment you could do this exercise with me, I invite you to close your eyes. And I just invite you to breathe in and out 3 times, in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And I invite you to bring into your mind's eye a river stream. And this is just a tiny little bubbling brook. And on that brook, you notice there are 4 or 5 leaves that are just tumbling down the brook. And on those 4 or 5 leaves, I just invite you to place any stress or thought that's on your mind tonight. Any stress from your day just goes along on that leaf on the stream. Any stress from your week on the leaf on the stream. Any stress from your body. Any thought. Just place any stress or thought on the leaf and just watch the leaf gently tumble down the stream. And if the thought comes back, just place it again on the leaf that comes. And as you do that, pay attention to what you hear. Do you hear the babbling of the brook? Do you hear the birds singing in the trees? What might you smell? Do you maybe smell a pine tree? Or just a forest smell? And what you feel in your body? Might the sun be beating down on your face? Feel your feet in the earth? And what might you touch by this river stream? Is there a tree that you can place your hand on? Or a pebble by the river that you can just pick up and hold in your hand? And we're going to leave the brook for now, but remember, anytime there's thoughts or stressors bothering you, you can return to this riverbank and just let your thoughts tumble down the brook like leaves on a stream. We'll breathe 3 times again. Breathe in and out. In and out. In and out. Wiggle your fingers. Wiggle your toes. Open your eyes. And I'm going to switch you over to Paula.
That was beautiful, Tanya. I could smell the pine in the forest. It's amazing how you brought me right there to the forest and the little babbling brook. Psychologist Rick Hansen suggests that the foundation for emotional resilience, emotional regulation, is in physiological regulation. So it's all about our body, starting with our body. When we calm our body, we also calm our mind. I'm going to share with you this absolutely beautiful calming strategy when you are feeling stressed. And this is a strategy you can use for yourself or for a loved one or for a friend. And it can be done seated, standing, or laying down. Where we're going to hold on our face is just a little bit above our eyes, So in line with our pupils, we're up about 1 finger width. And this is called the emotional stress release. And this amazing technique just brings calm relaxation to the nervous system. And when we're in stress response, this is a really beautiful thing to utilize, especially if you notice someone else is experiencing high stress. There's lots of different ways we can do it. Today, what we're going to do is just take our fingertips and place them over top of our eyebrows, and we're holding our fingers lightly. It's a very light hold for this technique. You can also do it where you hold your hand lightly. So if you're doing this on someone else, you may just decide to hold their head very lightly. So you decide whether it feels good to do with your fingertips or with the palm of your hand, holding lightly. And just as we begin this technique, I invite you to bring in a stressor, and not higher than 6 out of 10, so 6 and below. And if you could rate that stressor, so if it's whatever level it is, I invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And focus on the stressor just for a few moments. We're working with our neurovascular points, and this helps to stimulate some subtle changes in the vascular circulation, especially in the brain. So this is very calming. Holding your forehead lightly, focusing on the breath, and for just a moment, thinking about your stressor. When you think about this stressor, what do you see? Focusing on the breath. What sounds do you hear? What are your thoughts or words about this stressor? Noticing any physical sensations. Following the ebb and flow of the breath. As you slow down and lengthen the breath, we allow the parasympathetic nervous system to bring calming to our body and mind. We strengthen our awareness. Continue to deepen the breath. And just notice your stressor now. Has there been a change in the level? And bringing your hands down to heart center. Continuing the breath. And bringing your hands down to your lap. Giving a little wiggle to your body. Deepening the breath. And I invite Tanya back.
Thank you, Paula. I find emotional stress release, or ESR, such a valuable tool. So we've tried very much this evening to bring the body-mind connection and bring you practical and accessible tools. So the next piece that I'd like to speak about is how we hold stress in our bodies or where we hold stress in our bodies, and what can we do when we have an area that's stressful. And so I call this the warming sun exercise. So I just invite you to close your eyes. And as you do a scan from the top of your head down to your toes, notice if there's any area of your body that has tension or stress. Could be your neck, your spine, your feet, your shoulder, your eyes. And so just notice where that stress might be held in your body. And now I want you to imagine the warmth of the sun filling your body from the top of your head down to your toes. And as the warming sun, as you pull that warming sun energy, and I know it's the evening for some of you, but just imagine the warming sun beaming down on you and going down through your head and just softening as it goes. And when you come to the area of tension, send it a little extra sunshine. So down through the top of your head, down through your mind and your face, your ears, the back of your head, your neck, warming and softening as it goes. Down through your spine, your shoulders, your arms, and out your fingertips. Down through your chest area, your lungs. Letting the sun warm you in its own wisdom and its own timing, that warm energy. Down through your torso, through your hips and your legs, and out through your toes, warming and softening any areas that were tense as you went. And now 3 big breaths. 1, 2, and 3. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And come back to Paula.
So many years ago, I worked with a student that was really struggling and experiencing a lot of stress at school and at home, and would often arrive at school quite stressed. And over time, we worked with this student, and it was a young student, and we taught this little one tools to help navigate stress, of how to calm their body. And one of the things that we noticed initially, it was a little boy, and he would often say, "I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy." And he'd actually say his name, "I'm a bad boy." And I remember feeling so stressed the first time I heard him say that. And we really thought about, what do we say? How do we respond to that? And we'd often say, "You're not a bad boy. You're feeling stressed." So then he learned that he was a stressed boy and not a bad boy. And I think of how many times in my life have I said some automatic negative things to myself. "I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that." And how it really does get ingrained in our subconscious. So as we use these well-being techniques to calm our body and calm our mind, we can then start to also work at, what are our thought patterns like? So this is a beautiful strategy by Dr. Daniel Amen. And he talks about banishing the ants. Actually, he says killing the ants. And I don't want to kill the ants. I just want to banish them. and the answer, the automatic negative thoughts that we have. And his technique is about just becoming aware. And again, awareness being the foundation for well-being. Catch yourself when you're talking negatively or unkindly, and be aware of that and acknowledge that, recognize that, perhaps even label that you are doing that. And then he suggests challenge that thought. So I often say, I'm not good at technology. Challenge that thought. I'm getting better at technology. I'm growing with technology. And then he suggests replacing that with a positive thought. And I guess that's, I'm getting better with technology. And that will help to transform our positive self-talk. And what I find really helps is actually using these well-being techniques, these bioenergetic wellness practices, the breath, and setting an intention. I want to share with you a beautiful technique that is just great for calming the body and calming the nervous system. We begin by rubbing our hands together and having our hands get nice and warm, and just noticing, how do you feel right now? And then we'll notice again in a few moments. Taking your hands and placing them over your eyes. If you're uncomfortable with your eyes being covered, then just have your hands a bit to the side. So heel of your hand on your cheekbone, fingertips on your forehead, and your thumbs at your temples. And these are all beautiful calming points. Just for a moment, we're going to stay here with the breath. And psychologist Rick Hansen talks about hardwiring our brain for happiness. And he said how we do that, how we install positive states in our brain, is by taking in the good for 20 or 30 seconds at a time, several times throughout the day. And as we do that, we rewire those neural pathways for taking in the good. I invite you to think of your favorite place in nature, or one of your favorite places in nature. And as we do this technique, I invite you to keep your eyes closed, to focus on your favorite place in nature, taking in the good. What do you see? Bring your hands to your temple lightly, focusing on the breath. What do you hear? Keeping your hands light, sliding your hands down to the back of your head, holding your head, nurturing. How do you feel being in your favorite place? Sliding your hands down to your shoulders, taking a breath, and then bringing your hands to your heart center. And notice how you feel taking in the good for a short period of time. And taking a beautiful deep breath in, allowing your abdomen to expand. And then releasing, softening, and letting go. And taking one more breath. Taking in the good, changing our mind and body and spirit to take in a positive state. And I invite Tanya back.
And so one of the techniques that I share with students is called the EMDR hug. And EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And basically it is a way to go into the right side of the brain. And it's based on bilateral touch, bilateral tapping. And so Paula just had us connect with the goodness in the place that we love. And so one way to reinforce that is to simply put one hand on your left shoulder, one hand on your right shoulder, and tap back and forth. It's called the EMDR hug. And sometimes you may not wish to be this obvious about the tapping. So you could just gently tap your knees back and forth. It's a great way to reinforce a positive feeling, or if you're studying something new and you're having a hard time taking the information in, tap back and forth. It's also a helpful way to shift energy. When my son was young, he would sometimes have bad dreams. And so I would just tap his back. Bye-bye, bad dreams. Hello, happy dreams. And another way to reinforce or reset the vagus nerve is a technique that Vi Anderson developed. And if you put your hands together like this, just hold them at the back of your head. And instead of tapping, just look to the right. Not move your head, just look. And as soon as you move or yawn or shift, and look to the left. And as soon as you move or yawn or shift, then you've reset the vagus nerve and reset your nervous system. So those are just a few techniques to reinforce the goodness that Paula mentioned to us. And I want to give Paula enough time to do our final meditation of the evening.
I had a great yawn there, so thank you, Tanya. I feel very relaxed, so hopefully I stay awake through this. I have one last slide to show you before we do our final meditation. See if I can move it forward. There we go. Some beautiful waterfalls in Iceland. Kind of reminded me of the rain a little bit, and a rainbow. Tara Brach has taken a technique that was created in the 1980s by Michelle McDonald, and it's called RAIN. And Tara Brach has adapted the RAIN technique to help bring beautiful calm to our body and mind. And Rick Hansen and Dan Siegel talk about that the way you focus your attention can really shift and change the circuits and the neural pathways in our brain. So these techniques are really great for shifting the pathways and helping us refocus our stress and bring our attention back to wellness and well-being. So today I'd like to share with you the RAIN technique from Tara Brach, and what she suggests is what we strengthen, what we practice strengthens. So if we continue to practice well-being and self-care and wellness strategies, that will strengthen well-being in our body and mind. I invite you to soften your gaze or close your eyes. And as we do this technique, if it's comfortable, place your one hand in your heart center, which is the middle of your sternum. And this is called the Sea of Tranquility. And you can place the heel of your hand, or you can place your fingertips or hand over hand, whatever feels good. And you may decide to place one hand on your belly. And this is another calming technique. So we begin by focusing on the breath and allowing the breath to bring calm relaxation to our body. I invite you to bring in something that has been a discomfort for you. Again, something 6 or below, between 1 and 6 on the scale. And maybe it's a discomfort in your body, Maybe there's been an experience that's been uncomfortable. This beautiful meditation is a great way to shift our thoughts and to just shift our energy. So I invite you to notice what is currently here. What are you currently experiencing as you focus on this discomfort or challenge? Noticing what is happening inside. What are you noticing? Allowing. Can I be with this? Can I let it be? Can I let it be without judgment? I accept and acknowledge what is currently here. I investigate with gentle, curious attention. I investigate this discomfort, this challenge, this emotion. What is currently happening in me right now? Where are my feelings strongest in my body? Continue to bring your attention back to your body. What do I most need right now? Can I nurture myself with kindness, with compassion? Continuing to focus on the ebb and flow of your breath. And know that you can come back to rain anytime. Recognizing, allowing, investigating, and nurturing. Knowing that we can respond to stress in a healthy way. I invite you to take 3 deep breaths. And noticing, what is your stress level now? What is your tension level? How do you feel in your body and mind? Taking one last deep breath and slowly releasing and letting it go. Bring a little bit of movement to your fingers, your wrists, your toes, a little bit of movement to your body, and coming back into this space and in this moment.
Thank you, Paula. So I'm the wrap-up person, and I wondered if you could just take a moment and think, what is one takeaway from this webinar that I've listened to this evening that I could put into practice in the next week? Paul and I talked, and we wanted to make the techniques tonight as practical and accessible as possible. And I would like to thank you for joining us, and we will be putting the mic over to our host, Michelle, in a moment. But I'm going to just put in the chat the thing that really is a takeaway for me is awareness of my breath. Because I so often forget to breathe during the day. So I'm just going to put that in. And I thank you for joining Paula and I in our strategies for taking care of yourself and, enhancing our mind-body connection, and remind you wellness is your choice.
And if you have any questions, we would love for you to come back on and turn your video on and your mic, or turn your mic on, and please ask us some questions or share with us this experience.
Or any feedback. We're very open, because Paul and I might do another webinar, and we would love to hear if the practical and accessible is kind of, if we hit the right note, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, thank you. This is Yvonne. Thank you, Paula and Tanya, for such a great webinar. You're right. It's like such simple techniques, and I think you tapped on that when you said awareness of my breath. I know that's definitely one thing for me when you're, especially I think now with, learning from home or working from home, and you're kind of hustling and bustling, you tend to tighten your chest and
Yes.
forget to breathe deeply, and you don't even
Yes.
realize it, but your stress starts to build that way for sure.
Yes. That with awareness and the breath check-in is so key, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I find I hold my breath, and that's why when
Yeah.
my optometrist, because sometimes I get eye migraines, when she told me the 20-20-20 rule, I thought, well, can I every 20 minutes look for 20 feet away for 20 seconds? And
Yeah,
it sounds so simplistic, right? But not even taking that 20 seconds in my day.
Yeah, it's very true.
And I like what, so what do we have over here? Michelle said tapping on either side and using that for bad dreams. Yvonne agrees with me, as she said, awareness of the breath. Cindy commented simplicity. Leanne, awareness to take time without noise and have inner thought. And Corey, indulge in my guilty pleasures, but renaming as entitled pleasures. That cup of hot chocolate on a cold day. Oh, yes. Permission to take breaths and breathe. And thank you, Mary. Oh, thanks. So Mary said, so well done. Thank you for such a practical and personal presentation. I'm sorry, Michelle, are you supposed to be doing this part? It's so automatic as an extrovert to read the chat. Megan, as a mom of 4, all of these techniques will be very useful, not just for myself, but for my children as well. Yes, when we remember to breathe and remind our children to breathe and be aware, it's so, when my son was young, I used to just blow bubbles, Megan, with him, and then we'd call it a color. It'd be like green, blue, purple, and that simple act of just pretending to blow bubbles would just like the tension would go from here to here in like 10 seconds at bedtime, because we were focused on just a color and a bubble. Joyce, release of tension. Love the EMDR hug and the vagus nerve technique. Thank you so much, ladies. I cannot believe how much that relieved so much tension and gave me peace. Mary, absolutely love the visualization of the brook and floating leaves carrying away the stresses. I will be using this visualization daily with so much gratitude. Thank you. So I'm going to let Paul and Michelle talk now.
Or some other people talk.
Or some other people talk.
Any questions?
Hi, it's Denise. I do have a question. That vagus nerve technique, you referred it to, accredited it to whom?
Michelle, can you send Denise that article?
I
It's-
can. Yep,
You can't? You
I
can't?
can. Mhm.
It's via Anderson. She mentioned it in a newsletter, and Michelle did it in a Tai Chi class. So I sought it from Michelle because I think it goes so well with EMDR. It's kind of like the same concept of looking to the right and looking to the left. And she said it's because the suboptical nerve, when you stimulate it, it resets the vagus nerve. It's like gargling will reset the vagus nerve. So if you're a gargler in the morning, you're actually resetting your vagus nerve and regulating your emotional
Well,
system.
this is similar to something else I know, but different. So I want to play with
Yeah.
the feeling of both.
Yeah, Michelle has the article. I'll get her to
And the
send it
name
to you.
for my notes, so I have it all in one.
Via Anderson, just a sec.
Ryan,
I'll put it in the chat.
thank you.
I couldn't find the actual, it said she had a book, but I couldn't find it. Via Anderson. She's a 76-year-old grandmother in Puerto Vallarta, yoga and movement coach. She teaches intelligent movement forever classes in Puerto Vallarta. So, Michelle, maybe you could send it to Michelle and then she could send it out. Is that possible, Michelle Greenwell?
Yeah, yeah. What I can do is just share that. And when the link goes out tomorrow, then everybody can receive it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Really well done.
Thanks so much. I noticed there's a comment from Yvonne and she said, yes, a great webinar, well balanced with tips and tricks to keep us self-aware throughout the day and bring us back into focus. And thank you for your time and calming exercises. So great to have you here with us, Yvonne.
Thank you, Paula, for inviting me. And thank you, ladies, for all your time today.
So welcome. It was
Does
so much
everybody
fun.
feel like they've been recharged?
Totally.
Yes. Here it's still afternoon in British Columbia, which is really nice.
Okay, well, maybe because it's later here. Well, it's not as late here as it is on the East Coast, but I'm like ready for bed. I am so relaxed. I'm having trouble staying awake now. So thank you.
We've
Yeah,
done our
thank you so
job now.
much. It was a great webinar. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for your gratitude. Thank you.
Night. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thanks so
Right.
much. Night, night.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.